All right, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from, and welcome to the March 2018, well, actually, the first session of two sessions, the training session for the new version of AE. I know most of you from the community, but for those of you who do not know me, my name is Len Thompson, and I'm the community manager for all of CA's mainframe and automation communities. Before we get started, I see that most of you are listening to this via the WebEx audio broadcast rather than the phone. That being the case, please use the Q&A box in the community, in the WebEx to ask any questions you might have along the way. If you don't see that box in the lower right of your screen right now, in the upper right, you should see a question mark icon. Go ahead and click that, and it will open up for you. Please feel free to use that throughout the session. Our presenter, and also we have a couple other people who are going to be monitoring those, answering them. And just a reminder that if you are on the phone line, please stay on mute until the end where we'll open it up for questions. We're recording this session for use in the community, and we want to keep the recording as clean as possible. So with that, I'm going to hand you off to Rajesh, and take it away.
Thanks, Len. Good morning, good evening, everybody. So my name is Rajesh, and I'll be the presenter for the Part 1 series of 11.3.6 AE and WCC SP7 and SP6 release that we have had very recently. So this is a legal statement which is talking about the need for confidentiality of the proprietary information that is going to be discussed in the subsequent slides. Okay, so AE is at SP7 and WCC is at SP6. So we will be discussing the features that have come in against these releases. This is going to be the agenda for today. We will discuss about centralized agent management. So this is a one-stop solution for managing and monitoring all the agents that are present in your enterprise. And this can be done from WCC. The next item on the agenda is machine status resolution in near real time. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, Rajesh.
Len, am I audible enough?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, somebody just pinged me that I'm not audible, so I thought maybe I'm speaking to myself, so I thought I'll ask you. Okay, then that's fine. Okay, so the number 2 item on the agenda is machine status resolution in near real time. We have made certain enhancements with the way machines are processed in the scheduler. So we'll talk briefly about that. And lightweight round-robin load balancing. We brought in a couple of more options to distribute the load effectively against the agents defined in the virtual machine. So we will discuss what those options are. And email notification for job status and alarms. We have made quite a significant amount of enhancements with respect to the handling of the notifications with respect to emails. So as well as the kind of notifications that one can now send for alarms and various job statuses. We will see that as part of this agenda item. One more thing is that we have separated the alarms based on the job status. So now you have a separate alarm getting generated for terminator status of the job. So we will take a look at that. And finally, some enhancements are made to the auto-track utility with respect to the way audit information is retrieved based on the application and group. So the user can now filter audit information based on application and group. And resource changes, we haven't had any auditing information on this until SP6. So with SP7, we now show what changes have been made across each version of the resource that the user has entered in a particular change in the amount or machine. Those kind of changes are now clearly displayed in the verbose mode. So starting with the first item on the agenda, centralized agent management. So as I mentioned briefly during the agenda, this is a one-stop solution that we are providing with SP7, where one can manage and list all the agents that are present in his enterprise. So this is purely driven from WCC, and there is one dedicated tab which you will see in the subsequent slides. So for this agent inventory or centralized agent management feature to be available for consumption, it is necessary that under the configuration page, tab against the application server, one has to specify the web services URL. So centralized agent management actually talks to the web services and consumes the data from the web services. So it is necessary for this URL to be specified for this feature to be in a working state. And because it talks to the web services, it needs uninhibited access to all the resources that are configured, that are available from web services. So which means the monitor user that is available in the configuration page, that has to be given web services admin privileges in the EEM against r11.3.6 application instance. So that has to be configured for it to be able to consume the data from the web services. So one can see the status of all the configured Workload Automation AE instances. You can get a glimpse of all the Workload Automation AE instances configured for agent inventory. So the data source status page actually gives you a list of all the server names that have been configured. Now, the status actually will tell you whether the agent inventory is able to consume the data from the registered servers, like registered web services across the Workload Automation AE instances. So it essentially takes it essentially shows you the status as okay if it is properly configured. So it is properly configured and it is able to consume the data from the web services. So the status okay implies that everything is good. Now the status can be error, in which case it implies that some of the AE instances are either not reachable, or agent inventory has a problem in consuming the data from the configured web services. The other status could be disabled, which means in the configuration tab, the web services URL is left blank. So in case if there is any problem, the status details will list what is the problem, and the actions will tell what kind of action one has to take to resolve the problem. So this is how the listing looks like when you click on the agent inventory. You can see like it displays various fields pertaining to the machines that are defined in the AE environment. So you can get the details like machine name, then machine status, so agent type, whether it is system agent or whether it is a legacy agent as well. those details are as well listed over here. Agent name, the name that is defined as part of the machine definition. The host, this is typically the machine where the agent is installed and up and running. Port, it's self-evident. Version, so this is the agent version that is returned by the agent himself. And the platform, so what is the platform that the agent is running on? So in the example, we can see Linux and AX. It could be other platforms as well. Server name, so this is the name with which the AE instance has been configured in WCC. And the status, action status, so this actually captures any of the actions that are done on the machine. So we will see what kind of actions can be performed. So essentially the point here is action status reflects the last action and its status performed on the machine. And the timestamp relates to the time when it was actually done. So you can see at the right-hand top corner, export table. This actually allows you to export all the machines that are listed in the page as comma-separated value file. So you can do any operations that you may want to do on those machines. And at the top, you have a search bar. So it allows you to do a searching on the entries, like you may want to see all the agents which have, say, advanced integration as Hadoop, or maybe you want to find out all the machines which have PeopleSoft adapter as a, PeopleSoft as a plugin. So you can actually type in the name in the search bar, and then it will list you all the machines that satisfies that criteria. One thing to note here is we will see in the subsequent slides, the columns that are mentioned, that are present in the page are configurable. So you can go and change them to remove away those values which are not of interest to you. Then even when you search some keyword which happens to fall against the columns which are removed from the listing, even those machines are actually listed because they satisfy the criteria. So that is one point that I thought I would bring forward. Okay, so this is the actions that one can perform on the agents. So we have download logs, wherein it will get all the logs from the agent machine, compress it, and then gets downloaded on the machine where user has logged in to the WCC. Download agent params, it will allow you to download the agent param, and the maximum file that you can download is 10 MB. If you go beyond that, it may fail. Likewise, for download logs, the maximum file is less than 500 MB. Beyond that, download may fail. And agent details, you can get all the details pertaining to the agent, like the information that is present over here, and beyond that, it is essentially the information that one can see by running side agent -db command. So that kind of information you can see in the view agent details. Then update agent params, so you can update a particular parameter in the agent param, and then it will ensure that the agent is restarted and the changes that are made are effective. Stop agent, restart agent, they are self-evident. Reset action status. So this is essentially clearing away the status that is listed in the last but one column listed as action status. So that is what you can do. View status details. Again, the status details of the agent can be monitored, can be queried. Plugin details. So all the details of the plugins, like what all plugins are available, those can be retrieved and listed as part of this action. So all of these are actually governed by AEM policies. User needs to have authorization in order to perform this. We will look at the AEM screen in the next couple of slides. Okay, so in the earlier slide, we saw a single machine being selected and actions are performed on that. So this actions case here talks about multiple selection, wherein you can select more than one agent and then do either a stop agents or restart agents or reset action status. So this is the difference between single selection versus multiple selection compared to the previous slide. So this is the EEM access stuff that I was talking about. So by default, unless the user has agent inventory authorization present against the agent access policy, he will not be able to look at the agent inventory tab. So this has to be enabled for him to actually go and take a look at the listing of the agents. So this is a new action that has been added in the application access. And we were talking about the various actions like downloading the agent params, updating agent params and things like that. And I also mentioned like how they are governed by the action privileges that a user needs to have to be able to perform those. So this is the page that talks about. So there is a new access policy called agent access, and then we have 4 actions under that particular policy: view, fetch, configure, and control. So view takes care of, you need to have a view privilege, view authorization in order to take a look at the agent param log. For the fetch case, it is our plugin details and I think one more thing is there, I don't recollect. Configure, this is for changing the agent param file and making those changes effective, which involves restarting the agent. So the user needs to have the configure action privilege in order to do that. Control action, one has to have if they want to stop or restart or reset the action status. So this is a brief about the privileges that the user need to have. And coming to the customization, I briefly touched base about that when we were talking about the searching functionality. So you can customize what columns you want to list in the agent inventory. So the table columns contains those. And you have various timeout fields present over here, like refresh time, stop time, restart time, and update agent params timeout. So this essentially is to tell agent inventory like how long you actually wanted to wait for any subsequent operation to be performed. So refresh time, full in the sense like, okay, you want to get all the changes irrespective of the modifications from web services. So how much time actually you wanted to wait before you actually flag it as timeout. And then the access policy based on the resource type, user can create authorizations based on host name port combination or machine name and the server name combination. So these 2 options we are providing to ease management of the machines. So that concludes the brief presentation on the centralized agent management. Moving on, we have made certain enhancements with respect to the way the machines are processed by the scheduler. So earlier, if you observe, when a machine is inserted, by default, the machine status is put to online. And even though the agent is really not available, you could still have a machine defined, and only after running a job the machine would have put into unqualified and missing state finally. So now what happens is as soon as a machine is inserted, scheduler proactively tries to reach out to the agent and then decides whether the machine is really pingable and it can communicate using whatever protocol that agent can talk to, like R11 agents talk RRP protocol and system agents talk AFM protocol. So it does that beforehand to actually determine the status and flags the machine accordingly. So to achieve this, and this is the one aspect where things come into play when a machine is inserted. And the another aspect to this is the scheduler now periodically polls all the agents to determine if the machines are alive or dead. So there is a new configuration parameter introduced which goes by the name agent status poll interval. So by default this is set to 1 minute. So every 1 minute scheduler keeps pinging all the agents and tries to determine its status and marks the machines to the respective status accordingly. So this is a brief on the machine status resolution near real-time feature that has been added in SP7. So the agent status poll interval, the one that is circled, this is a parameter that has been introduced for configuring the poll interval. So this is available under the scheduler administration and control section. Coming to the next feature, lightweight round-robin load balancing. So as I mentioned earlier, we have introduced two new options, which is round-robin and round-robin job load for load balancing. So to achieve this, we have introduced a new GIL attribute called machine method in virtual machines. So besides round-robin and round-robin job load, the machine method will take all the other supported machine methods that are present before SP7, like rstat, vmstat, cpmon, job load, etc. So now what we have done is we have moved that configuration closer to the machine definition itself. So you can now make it virtual machine specific, and in that case, whatever machine method has been defined, and that will be taken into account when it schedules the jobs to the real machines defined against the virtual machine. In case you have a global configuration parameter like machine method, and then we also have a machine method defined at the virtual machine level, then it is the virtual machine level defined machine method that is given preference. So, if we talk briefly about the two new options, round-robin and round-robin job load. Round-robin ignores the job load, and it simply gives the job load. I mean, it keeps scheduling the jobs to the machine that happens to be next in the list. So it doesn't care about the job load, whether the machine has it or not. It doesn't care. It simply sees that, okay, the machine is online and it has its order due, then the job is simply pushed to that particular machine. Round-robin job load, as the name suggests, it actually considers job load. So in the event a machine has been picked up for scheduling based on the round-robin, and then given the job load that the machine is defined with and the number of jobs that are already running on it, if the job load criteria is not met, then this machine is skipped and the next available machine in the list is fetched and the job is pushed to that machine. So this is the difference between the round-robin and round-robin job load. Okay, and this machine method attribute, this is applicable to machines of type N and type V. So this is the snapshot of how it looks from the UI. So you can see like as part of the virtual machine creation, there is a new drop-down added and it supports all the existing machine methods that are available today, plus the round-robin and round-robin job load. Okay. Email notification for job status and alarms. So there has been long time pending enhancement request to actually give more flexibility with the way the mails are managed when a job fails or terminates. So we always had a fixed template with the end user having no say in what would be the content of the mail. So that has been now made flexible by providing an email template. So now the user can actually define his own email template and then define for what status of the job, what should be the mail like, what should be the subject like, and whether he would be interested to have std out and std error files attached as part of the email. So all of them have been taken into consideration when designing this feature. And we used to have a fixed set of arguments that were part of the email body earlier, like runtime, start time, and run number, start time, and other attributes. Now we have opened that up to all the GIL attributes that the user may want to see in his job definition. So he can use any GIL name in the template, and that will be filled up with the respective value that it has been assigned as part of the job, and that gets sent as part of the email body. So there is a default template present under AutoSpace install email templates. I'll be showing how that looks like. So you can actually take a look at that and then modify according to your needs and then insert that into the database. So one thing of notice here is it is in a flat file in the sample directory, but for it to be really exercised by the product, it has to be inserted into the database as a glob. So for that, we have enhanced the insert glob GIL to take the email template as one of the blob types. So user has to do that and then can refer that email template name in the job definition, and from there onwards, based on the status of the job, a respective email will be sent with the template that the user has inserted as a job blob. So segregation of email addresses based on job status. So earlier we used to have only notification email address that used to be the same email address list for all the job statuses. So now we have provided 3 more like success, terminate, and failure. So now user can decide if a job goes to success, which group needs to be notified of the status, likewise for terminate and failure. So this attribute accepts my email addresses in the same format as notification email address used to take. Notification email address can still be used in combination with these attributes. However, it implies that that is like a common email address list, and whatever address has been specified there will be sent irrespective of the status of the job. And one more enhancement is we have added the notification support for job alarms. So 2 new attributes have been added: notification alarm types and notification email address and alarm. So alarm types essentially allows the user to choose what all alarms, job alarms he's interested in, and notification email address and alarm implies for those alarms who should the mail be sent. So this is how the template looks like. So you can see there is a separate category for each status of the job. So I have here for success. Likewise, one can have for failure, terminated, and for alarms. So the subject is configurable. The user can choose whatever subject he wants. Message has a start and end. So whatever is put in between the start and end, that will be treated as the email body and get sent. So any attribute that you may want to put, those will have to be put inside two less than and two greater than symbols. So the ones that are being listed in the template are the standard variables which were available even before this feature. You can use the same notation and then you can put your GIL attributes, and those will be replaced with the job definition values. Even global variables can also be specified, and then those will also be resolved, and the actual global variable will be sent with the email. So std out, std error, this talks about the provision to send the standard out and standard error files as attachments. So by default these are no, but you can choose yes, and then the scheduler will ensure that the job related output files are captured and sent. Log lines, so this is related, this is restricted to 1000 lines, but you can change it to either less or more depending on the length of the log files that get generated. And this has been put at 1000 with an intention that we don't bloat up the memory that scheduler will take to read all this stuff and then package that in the form of a mail. So this is how the feature looks like from WCC. So I was talking about the flat file to be presented as a glob for the feature to be exercised. So the email glob template and email glob template 2, the one that is being shown here, are two globs which have different email templates for the emails, and these are fetched by the UI, and the user can select whichever he wants as part of the job definition. One thing is the email template and notification message are mutually exclusive, so you cannot use both of them in the same job definition. Coming to this glob support for email templates, we have added a new option to autorep, which is -type, wherein you can specify what kind of globs you are interested in looking at. So by default, it is always the regular globs which get listed if no type is specified. But if a type is specified and then email template is what is being sought for, then a listing of email templates will be listed. So this is the this is how it looks like in WCC, the provision to select email addresses for various job statuses and alarms. So this is one thing. So you can see notification is set to alarms and job status, and then you have the five from the bottom. If you see the 5 entries, these are the newer ones that have been added, and this is for specifically all alarms and job failure. So you can see, like in case of job failure, we have job failure notifications and the email address for alarms and alarm type. So success and terminated related email addresses are removed. So these are the alarms that a user can select. So these are all job related alarms. So we have separated alarms for job based on the job status now. So we have introduced a new attribute called alarm if terminated. So essentially, this is modeled after the attribute alarm if fail. So now, if a job is terminated, then there is a new alarm sent called job terminated. And by default, this attribute value is set to 1, like it is for alarm if fail. But in case if you are upgrading the product and some of the jobs have alarm if fail set to 0, then alarm if terminated will be set to 0 as well. So it essentially copies whatever value has been set to alarm if fail and then uses that during the upgrade. So this is how it looks from the WCC. Send alarm on failure, send alarm on termination. So one thing is that earlier for alarm if fail was set, then whether the job went to failure or terminated, a job failure alarm would have been generated. But now unless alarm if terminated is set, there wouldn't be any job terminated alarm triggered. So users needs to be mindful of this, and appropriate actions needs to be taken depending on how these job statuses are being handled. Finally, audit information on application and group. So we have added 2 new options for filtering the audit information based on the application name and group name. So -I is added for applications and -B is added for groups. So you can now get a listing like you used to do for machines or jobs, things like that. And this is about resource changes. So now you can actually see, or you can rather audit the resource changes using the -R option. So only usage of -R simply gives a one-liner saying so-and-so resource has changed. But if you want to actually see the differences as to what has changed, then you will have to use the verbose output, which is -B. And then it will give you the listing like it does today for jobs, prefixed with a asterisk as to what attributes have changed. With this, I conclude the presentation of day 1. If you have any questions, please ask.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Rajesh. So we have a lot of questions coming in the Q&A that I know Nitin and the team are answering. For those of you who are on the phone line, feel free to hit #6 and ask your questions verbally. Hi, is there a question on the phone line?
Yeah, hi, this is Chaitanya here.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you mentioned about alarm if terminated, right? So you also mentioned that existing job definitions will get this attribute. So now the termination alarms will not be generated. That's what you meant to say?
Chaitanya, can you hear me properly?
Not really. Oh, you can? Okay, go ahead. That's fine then.
Okay, I think now I'm better. So what I meant was, if alarm is terminated is set, then a newer alarm which goes by the name job terminated will be generated. And by default, this attribute is set to enabled. So if you are inserting a job, then whether the job goes to failure status or goes to terminated status, you will now see an alarm as well. But the only difference is now a new alarm is generated if the job goes to terminated. So that is what I meant to say when I said like the alarm if terminated is modeled after alarm if fail. The only point worth noting here is when you do an upgrade, it actually tries to see whether as part of the upgrade process itself, we check if alarm if fail is already set, then alarm if terminated would also be enabled. In case if the user has explicitly disabled alarm if fail, then we have ensured that alarm if terminated is disabled as well. So there is no difference with respect to the generation of the alarm. It's that now a different alarm gets generated for terminated status. That's the difference.
Okay, so by default, this alarm if terminated also gets added to the old JILs which are already existing in the system?
Yes, it does. And the value would be decided based on the value that you have against alarm if fail. So alarm if, yeah, so I think I'm clear, yeah.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, Rajesh Venkat here. So you are saying that the existing job definitions would be added automatically with this parameter, or is it like it would be enabled at the instance level, at the configuration level, and then if you want to enable it, we can enable it for the particular jobs if needed. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Or will it be enabled for all the jobs?
You're talking about alarm if terminated only, right, Venkat?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So see, it gets added to all the jobs that are present in the instance. And I'm saying it will be enabled only if alarm if fail is set. So essentially, if alarm if fail. Okay. So did I answer your question?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Polling frequency, this agent status poll interval is a new thing, right? So once I upgrade from 11.3.6 SP1 to this SP7, so this particular parameter would automatically get added to the config.instance file, or?
Yes, by default it gets added, and then the polling is set to 1 minute. So user can change that, and then they can do a pause resume or sig up, and then the newer value will be effective.
Okay.
But there's no way that you can actually disable that. You can only change the polling interval.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Are there any other questions? We only have about a minute left in the session. For those of you who have asked questions in the WebEx, if they have not been answered yet, I will be saving the Q&A, and we'll send it to the team. And we'll get you answers either out in the community, or we'll contact you directly. Yeah. So we're actually at the end of the session. Just a reminder, we're doing part 2 of this training on Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So hopefully we'll see you there. Again, if there's questions that have come in that have not been answered, I will make sure that we get you answers. Thank you very much, Rajesh. Thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, on Friday it's part 2. It's the continuation, or is it the same similar session?
It's a continuation.
Okay, it's the same session. Yeah, Rajesh.
Yeah, part 2 would talk about the remaining features, integration of the remote engineer, and integration with OneAutomation, and other features that we have covered as part of SP7.
Okay.
So please attend.
As well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please attend so that you will get a complete view of what all features have been done in SP7.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks to all for attending. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks.
Bye.